When we first met Brian Dennis, photographer Tim Hahn and I were in Everett putting together a story about data release highlighting how the drug epidemic is affecting all parts of Snohomish County. Brian walked right up to us, started sharing his story, his struggles, his battles, and where he is today. It's a story we felt was important to share with all of you.
Hey guys.
Think about what it takes.
How's it going?
To form a connection.
How's your day going?
Brian Dennis believes it's about finding something in common.
Would you guys let me tell you a little bit about where I was at a couple years ago? You guys are in a very similar position.
His story isn't easy to listen to.
I'll just tell you that I was out here using drugs and was homeless. Well, I talked to a lot of people out here.
He talks to people he knows can relate.
The beginning of my drug use was not drug use. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. They were prescribed. I took them, and they made me feel better.
What's next is a storyline we've heard from so many battling addiction.
I remember sitting and feeling unable to get up. I remember I wasn't able to figure out how to ask for help. I remember people passing by me and wanting to ask, could you buy me something to eat? But not able to get the words out of my mouth. I remember feeling very alone.
Brian says he overdosed twice while using, but that feeling of loneliness, he calls that his darkest moment.
You don't know who you are, you don't know what the truth is, you've lost track of the truth, and you don't know where to go to find it.
For Brian, in what he calls a moment of clarity, that meant taking a chance.
So I was lost on the streets for about a year when I contacted the sheriff's department. I mean, when I walked up to an officer, like just sitting there, patrol unit in the parking lot of a Starbucks, somebody, I think, had said something like, those officers are here to help people.
The memory is a blur, but inside that car was a deputy and a social worker named Elisa Delgado.
So there's a tent over here.
For whatever reason, at that moment, I felt safe.
He agreed to sit down with us and we had coffee. And the next step was he agreed to an assessment and then to treatment.
For the past 3 years, Elisa and officers have visited camps around the county.
So our program, we can help people who are struggling with homelessness due to their addictions and mental health.
You hear her call it a program, but Brian will tell you Elisa's work is what saved his life.
They made me feel like I was worth rescuing.
And you walked up to the car.
It's a moment they can now just talk about.
I think I just told you the truth.
In the months Brian worked to get clean, he'll tell you Elisa took him to treatment, brought him clothes and groceries, helped him with court appearances, and still meets with him for lunch.
I tell everybody about you guys and what you did for me because I love you guys. I mean, it really is a warm, full feeling in my heart when I think about the Snohomish County Sheriff's Department, and I'll never stop singing your praise. You saved my life.
This lunch is a celebration.
I'd like to say thank you to both of you for getting me off the streets when I wasn't clear-headed enough to do it myself.
Brian is 2 years sober.
Did you ever think 2 years ago that you'd be sitting here with law enforcement and a social worker?
I think that sometimes the most unlikely help can come from the most unlikely sources.
He'll never forget where he's been, but his life now is focused around his passions, working on boats in the port of Everett.
I have money in my bank account. I have a car that's paid off. I live in a large, beautiful house up on the bluff. Like I've come back. I truly have.
He'll also never forget who helped him get here. That's why you'll find him walking downtown Everett.
In my healing, I hope to become a healer. I hope to be a voice of hope. And I want people to know that there is life after drugs and alcohol.
With photographer Tim Hahn.
There is life after
Callie Greenberg.
What feels like hopelessness.
King 5 News.
Very rich life.